Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your podcast host here on the show. And today we have Carrie Russell, founder and CEO of Carrie Russell Recruiting, as my guest. Today we're going to talk all about her journey to business ownership, what she's been faced with challenges, and what she's found success in with the business, and some best practices that she's learned along the way. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Welcome to the show, Carrie. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the warm welcome, Kay. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, let's dive right in. Share a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Carrie Russell Recruiting.
Absolutely. So December 15th will be my 10th year anniversary of being independent and on my own. So I started out with top-notch recruiting and changed it because I built a brand on trust and people and relationships. So I just switched it recently. So I have a LLC under my S corp. So I'm basically Carrie Russell Recruiting underneath Top Notch Recruiting, so that I can spin off and go into coaching, which we'll talk about different. That's one of the things I had to do to pivot this year because of challenges in the market.
Oh, well, I'm excited to dive into that. But yeah, share a little bit about your business in terms of, before the call, we had talked a little bit, and you mentioned you use a lot of AI and you're utilizing like the power of AI in your business. How does that make your business unique?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Thanks for the question, Kay. So, one of the things I've done is I've been able to scale my business up or down depending on what is going on with the economy or tech. I'm specifically in the technical field, software as a service, or as we call it, SaaS. I've been in SaaS for 24 years. I carried a bag and I was an account executive, and I traveled all throughout the United States and even internationally when I had the DoD. So I've been in SaaS for 24 years, 14 years sold. Last 10 years, as I mentioned earlier, coming up has been a SaaS recruiter. I took all of my contacts, uploaded them into a database, which now is using AI, and I'm super excited about it. Luxo is what I picked for right now. All the contacts that I've had, which are around 10,000, a little over plus, I have 13,000 followers. So on my platform, I can search. I don't need LinkedIn Recruiter anymore. There's a lot of things that I had that were overhead that I've been able to eliminate all through AI. So I can list all sorts of do's and don'ts, and at the bottom say, here's my approved list of AI tools to use within recruiting, but I've tested a lot for the last 4 years.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, I'm super excited to dive into our conversation, especially, talking about tech and the work that you are doing. And, let's kick it off. Let's share a little bit about your team and like what you're building over there. What does your team look like? How many team members do you have? And what's some of the culture you've built for your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've scaled up and down over the last 10 years. The most at one point I had on payroll was probably five, and a lot of those were contract or just a 1099. I've
Mm.
always talked to all my clients and my candidates before submitting them. So I am the last conversation before I greenlight them to go to the candidate or to the client. And so for right now, I'm utilizing 8 AI bots, and it's myself, and I have a tech sourcer slash recruiter out of Pune that I've trained.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that is cool too, especially like I'm excited to see how you're able to work within the AI to do as much work as you do within your team. And so, what are some of the things that AI is processing for you within the business? So what kind of roles is AI playing?
Yeah, so it'll fill every role. And so it's filling every role and every, I would say, business unit beyond marketing. It's really kind of wild what you can do and how you can adopt. And there's a lot of freedom when you adopt to the latest technologies. For example, Humantic AI is one of the tools I've recently installed and had the opportunity to meet Preet, which is the CEO today, earlier this afternoon. And he had shared with me that my feedback and referrals have been really helpful in gaining other staffing agencies, as it will prepare and tell me your personality type and what your the do's and don'ts are, and just an entire off of the disc profile. So I get a little snippet of whether you follow that or not or believe it. Pick one. It could be any culture index that you pick for assessments. They're usually all similar in some way or another. So this one's usually utilizing DISC, DISC. So it's super helpful if you know, if you're familiar or you're certified in that. So the more, like, you can get really into the weeds of things and knowing how do you write an email to Omri or the person. So it always pops up with intel on what the do's and don'ts are of the person. So I could have studied you, for example, before we got on this call.
Oh, that is super cool. I'm very familiar with DISC. We use that within the Action Coach here, and that's something that we really like to utilize for just understanding people better. That's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And your second part of your question is culture. Culture's huge to me. I've worked with 3 different companies in-house, also as their independent recruiter. And all 3 different ways, whether it be agency, in-house, or solo as a contract recruiter to them, it's always been and remained the same. The culture is number one. And I'm building that culture. So I'm proud to say that I worked with SailPoint, helped go public with them back in 2017, and then worked from there at PlanView, which is another startup. And then last, Logic Monitor, I managed a team of 5.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, I love to hear about your history, and I'd like to dive into the meat and potatoes of your business. Like if I were your ideal client and I just like walk through your doors, your virtual doors or your regular doors, how would I know I'd be a good fit for you?
Absolutely. 1, if you're in the SaaS space, software as a service. 2, you have a need for hiring or want to improve your recruitment process or perhaps put one in place.
Mm-hmm.
I am more of a consultant than I am just recruiting. My website will www.carrierussellrecruiting.com will tell you a lot about me, and I'm having a video put up there as well that just is kind of a snip what makes me stand out. And I think AI has helped me do that a lot, Kay, as well as just genuine being authentic in really nurturing those relationships that I've had for over 20 years.
Oh, definitely. Well, as a consultant, what are some of the things you're doing for your clients? Like they're all in the SaaS space. So are you, what kind of consulting are you providing?
Mostly technical
Okay.
positions, mostly meeting with either product management, delivery teams, customer success, or go to market. I've done the phone book. I've recruited from janitor all the way up to chief marketing officer or chief information security officer. So I've done everything in between. My sweet spot now that I have 10 years under my belt is to really focus on those decision makers that are past funding, somewhere around 50 employees up to 1,700. And when you're that small, you don't always have an agency yet or processes or know what you want for your CRM. So that's how one might utilize me if they were seeking my services.
Oh, wow. That's really cool too. And so you talked about, marketing, briefly, you mentioned your number of, got about 13,000 followers. Where are you doing most of your marketing right now, and how has that impacted your business?
Really, it's been one-on-one networking.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in my network, I've either video chatted with them, or we've had conversations over the phone, or I met them at a networking event live. Over 96% of my business is done doing one-on-one live networking.
Isn't there such a power to the one-on-one? I seriously feel like that it's part of business, especially with consulting because you're working with
Now that
people.
we're post-COVID, Kay, getting to see each other's eyes is just huge. And that little tap or touch or hug or, it just goes such a long way. I mean, we gotten away from the humanity of things, and, it worked for us. We made it work. We made it excel in some cases, right? With Zoom or virtual, but I'm glad it's over, and I'm glad that I can hug my clients and candidates, and we can talk about tough things too.
Oh, definitely. Well, speaking of tough things, I'd love to share what is a challenge or a roadblock you faced within business that you overcame?
Absolutely. It's a great question. So I had a quick moment to think about this in advance. One of the challenges I came up with this year is tech took a bit of a dive, the technical space industry. And as a result, recruiting was companies, was at an all-time low. Companies were right sizing, downsizing, something sizing. They weren't hiring a lot and they were cutting back significantly. So what left us was a lot of technical talent on the
Mhm.
market. So I pivoted and started representing them. I took them to network. I take them to network events. I teach them intentional networking. I'm on the Job Seekers Network. I'm part of the board and speak on how to help our, fellow more than just technical people that are laid off, but anybody in the SaaS world, help
Mhm.
them get a career again, not just a job, but find their career. I do tell a lot of people this may be your last time that you get to choose your career.
Mhm. That's very
And
true.
when you get an opportunity like this, you want to do it on your terms. And now
Mhm.
is such a fun, fast time. Um, it's picking back up. So luckily I don't need to pivot much longer in career coaching, but it's tech is climbing and there's all sorts of Forbes information out there talking about how recruiting in 2025 is going to come back. So let's hope so.
Definitely. Well, can you share, like, as you went through this experience, what is like one takeaway that you could give to other business owners out there when it comes to being flexible and able to pivot as the market shifts, what in whatever industry they're in?
Yeah, I think being true to yourself and really aware of who you are is really important. Having
Mhm.
goals. I do an annual vision board, just seeing where you can go. And I have in my office the only time that you'll ever see, should you ever look back, is to see how far you've come. And I love that because we can learn from our lessons. We can also learn from our successes. So for me, something valuable that I learned is just the grit. I'm really glad that my parents raised me with grit
Mhm.
and I was able to dirty my hands, roll up my sleeves, and not just get in the garden physically, but really get into the weeds in my business and in pivot.
Oh my goodness. What you said, I'm sure will resonate with so many of our listeners because like we all reach those pivot points or those points of, a rough patch or a challenge or something, but it seems like on the other side, like carrying that grit through, there's always something to look forward to on the other side. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm always the optimist, so I'm always going to look at the glass half full or half full, not half empty, not the opposite of what I said. But in any event, it's been really a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate you interviewing me today. Tanner was a delight. Your whole team is amazing and easy to work with. And I'm glad that you're in my backyard.
yes, and same to you, which is actually brings me into a really fun part of our conversation, which is our rapid fire questions, where you answer very top of mind, the first thing that comes to mind. So, are you ready for a few rapid fire questions?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Number one is, what is a key to success for you?
Key to success for me would be my tenacity,
Definitely
tenaciousness.
love that. And number two is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Such a big question. Let me think for just a second. Other
Mhm.
business owners, read, 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 read. You
Breathe.
cannot read enough. Between Simon Sinek, Adam Grant, and multiple others that I'm not even, Brene Brown's amazing.
Mm, love
There's
her.
so many authors that are in our court once you identify who you are and know the wheels and your emotions and other business owners, we want to diversify our businesses. First off, we want to
Mhm.
keep DEI not at the forefront, but the best person should get the position. However, that being said, the key to my success has been really my heart, my heart and
Mhm.
hustle.
Oh, I love that. And it's so funny. My next question was literally, what is a book you've recently read? And could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, Five Dysfunctions of a Team are the one that I've read 3 times. I refer it all
Mm.
the time if you're a startup company. The other one I read, and you can read it many times and still get something new out of it, is Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown. That
Mm.
identifies 87 emotions that we have and how you interact with people. It's not so much about what you say to them. They're not going to remember that. They're going to remember how they felt, though.
That you're the second person this week that's suggested that book by Brene Brown. So I think
It's
I should write it
dynamite.
down.
I have a wonderful, cute story. My 9-year-old, we were driving out to McCall, Idaho for vacation for 6 weeks. She was actually going from fifth to sixth,
Mhm.
and pivotal time, right? We were going elementary to now big junior high, and there's a pretty steep distance there between the two of those grades, at least here where we're at in LISD. And so I took her for the whole 6 weeks, and we went out and she read the book, and then we did the audible and I read it to her, and we just had a great time bonding over that
Mm.
book. And she was, 9 at the time.
Oh, what a beautiful thing for someone that is such a pivotal age and to create that foundation as she goes into this like next chapter of her career in school. I think that's setting her up for success. That's really
I hope
cool.
so. I hope so. Yeah, the goal there was that she can identify what she's going through. So if she's frustrated, she can tell me. If she doesn't want to talk to me, she can talk to a therapist. We're really forward thinking and, talk to somebody safe.
Oh, definitely. Well, I love that. And our final question in the rapid fire is if you could wave a magic wand and overnight rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Probably my finances. I love, love, love to give back to my clients. And I'm a huge giver. That's part of what I do. I'm on 5 different nonprofits and help around town with a variety of different ways with my church as well. But I would
Mm.
say finances, which I'm working on. It's part of my 2025 goals.
Oh, I'm right there with you, actually. That is part of my 2025
It's
goal
on my
too.
vision board. We're doing it in my mompreneurs group with North Point Church. So January we'll be doing as a class, we will create our vision boards and move forward with, what 2025 we're wanting and manifesting it to be.
Oh, wonderful. I love to hear that. And, this has been such a great conversation. How can people connect with you in your business?
Sure, on all social forms, media forms. Most popular one for me is LinkedIn. It is my business card. It's my walking resume. I
Mhm.
have many testimonials there. I ask candidates, don't pay me, leave a comment. Please, a testimonial goes a long ways. So you can read all about me. You can go to my website, which I referenced earlier on the call, or pick up the phone and call me. Old fashioned. I still dial.
I still dial. I love that. This has been a great conversation. And for our final conversation or our final question, Carrie, what is most inspiring to you today?
Besides the connection that I feel you and I have, I would say just living a full life, an abundant life. Yeah,
Mm.
every day. You only get one day at a
Oh
time.
my goodness. Oh, well, thank you so much for this great conversation. It was an absolute joy to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much.